Okay. When it comes to the second video of the week, I often my tank runs out of gas. So don't be surprised if this one's a little short. I got a couple of concepts I want to share with you guys. So I'm going to be looking for when I'm grading these crisis assignments. But I don't want to throw too terribly much at you because the due date for these crisis assignments, and by the way, today I'm going to create the Dropbox, will be June 9th. So that's coming up pretty quick. This is like the halfway point of the class. Last day of class is the 22nd, I believe. So I want to have a nice clear path to completing this work so you guys can be over and done and you guys can go on and do more important stuff with your lives than my stupid class, right? Why am I so blurry? That's bugging me. I can see it over there and I'm like, I am not my usual crisp, clear, handsome self. Anyway, let me get a couple of concepts out there. You might run into this in the textbook. So let's just kind of condense this. With the type of writing we're doing right now for this crisis assignment, let's talk first about I versus you language. This stuff's really stupid, but it does bring in some very interesting points. I language is what we use in the business or technical communication sense when you are talking about a negative impact of someone else's behavior or a negative impact that is branched off of your own behavior. We talk about our own reaction to negativity so as not to put blame on someone when we were giving them potentially negative information. If any of you guys have ever been in couples counseling or marriage counseling, you will immediately recognize this. You are not supposed to talk to someone about you when we are talking about potentially negative info. So there's a good chance some of you out there are rolling your eyes out the back of your skulls right now because you're like, oh, this crap again. Anyway, here's some examples. And I have a lot of examples of these personally. If you're informing someone that they're being terminated, you're not going to just go out there and say, you are terminated. The way that you're typically going to frame that is we here at Bailey Corp value our personnel and value the family and the corporate culture we have created. When a message starts out like that, you should probably sit down, right? Because you know something really bad is about to happen. Now, we regret to inform you, now that's a little bit of you, that we feel that the relationship is ending, right? We feel the need to end this professional relationship. That is an I versus you example. I'm getting so many emails today. I feel so popular. So whenever you're delivering that kind of negative potential information, you want to come at it from your perspective or the company's perspective rather than talking about how others have acted. That way it makes it look like you are taking responsibility for it. You're talking about it from your own kind of viewpoint. Now, coming back to the idea of formal versus informal communication, it can seem incredibly shallow, and it gets even worse when you talk about the second part of this. And that's direct and indirect order. You've already seen a little bit of this with my former example. You deliver good news in a direct way. We're excited to inform you. You have earned blah, 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 right? You don't have to bounce around on that. You can go straight to the information. Whereas if it's negative, you want to couch it and you want to kind of sort of ease into the truth of the communication. My favorite version of these is the rejection letter when I tried to get my poetry published. Womp womp. You have no idea how many rejection letters I've gotten. Apparently my poetry, it's quite bad. Anyway, when I open a letter from Poetry Magazine, I love Poetry Magazine and I get it. They probably get thousands upon thousands of subscribers every year. So this is no way saying anything negative about Poetry Magazine. But when I open that letter from them, you get this message that begins with, we at the Poetry Foundation value all of our submissions, something like that. And it's just like, well, didn't get in, right? But if you'd accepted, which, dang it, has happened a couple of times to me, they're going to jump right in We're pleased to inform you that you've been selected for our fall issue. But seeing that couched language. Now, again, as disingenuous as it feels, let's stop and think about this for a minute. Why do they do that? It's kind of polite, I guess. And how else are you going to do it, right? It's just kind of custom at this point. So I can't really go too far into, talking about how unpleasant this is because, I don't know. It is kind of lame that you have to sort of walk through all of this junk in order to get to the information that you want. Anyway, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because this is like basic public relations 101. And that's what the crisis assignment really is trying to do for us, is give us an exercise in public relations. So in the creation of the crisis material stuff, I want to see examples of I communication or company communication versus you communication. So internal versus external, depending on what kind of information is being delivered. Most of you guys have bad news, right? And direct, indirect order. Honestly, I don't think you guys are going to have to work too hard on this because we have a tendency to sort of go into that type of communication automatically. So I don't think it should cause you too much of a headache. You'll probably find that you sort of go there, but it's something to kind of pay attention to. Now, just to annoy you with something else that I'm going to want to see in the final submission for the crisis assignment stuff. And you can use this to try to help fill out your page requirements. I also want you guys to come together and create a letterhead for your company. Now, I need to actually post these links. I just remembered I was supposed to post links to like public press releases and stuff like that. So I need to remember to go back and do that. But a letterhead, I'm sure you guys know what letterhead is. It's the common form, the common stationery that a company is going to communicate on. We have it here at Coastal Pines. Most businesses have a letterhead. And this is not something that necessarily has to be so flashy. It has a logo. It has contact information. It might have like a pretty fancy quote on it, right? And the purpose of a letterhead is whenever you communicate with the outside world, be it a press release, be it a business letter, even communications that are supposed to be more formal within the company, you're going to do it on the company letterhead. When I resigned from Georgia Southern, not bad. It was because I took a new job. I had to write that on Georgia Southern letterhead, right? Make it look nice and fancy and official. You guys need to make me a letterhead. Now, here's how you're going to do it. The last time I did this, it was kind of a fun process, and I liked how I outlined it. Remember, you need a logo, you need contact information, make it look fancy. From here on out, you guys are going to submit all your work that's outside communications to me on this letterhead, right? Now, you all can get some material for your submission packets by everyone creating a sample letterhead. If everyone creates a sample letterhead, that's a pretty good amount of pages added onto the project. So then you guys decide as a group which letterhead to use. And I mean, there's no reason to have any hard feelings about this because I'm not going to give you any bonus points to the person who's picked, although I really should. I don't want to start a war in the chat room, right? I did that once, and I still have nightmares about it. Oh, gosh, there was so much fighting. I used to allow for groups to fire one member, and I do that in the face-to-face group. I'm not sure that's a good idea for the online classes. We'd end up on the news. Anyway, so just to add a little bit to this assignment, help you produce some pages, everyone produce a letterhead, and the group within the forums decide which letterhead you're going to use and submit it on that letterhead when you do the outside communication stuff. It'll look really cool. That's probably enough curveballs for me to throw at you on this beautiful, Wednesday? I've had so much beef jerky, I'm afraid my eyeballs are going to bleed. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the top of my mind. I think that's everything. I'll create the Dropbox later today. Go back and make sure I put those links up for like press releases and stuff like that. How are y'all in internet land? I really wish we could hang out, like in real life, go get a burger or something. Anyway, happy writing. You guys have a great day.